Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Omalade Okaito and I focus on faith, travel and reviews. Today's video is going to be about what women want in men. So as you can see, I have a panel with beautiful ladies and we're here to share our opinions, experiences, and this is not a hate for men or anything like that, but we're just here to have a healthy discussion and hopefully it will be helpful for those who need it. So firstly, I'm going to introduce these wonderful ladies who have taken the time to be on my channel, which I really appreciate. So I'm going to go according to what I can see first. So I can see Vanessa first. So Vanessa, if you would like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Vanessa, also known online as Vanessa Speaks. So I'm an author, speaker, and mentor. And I've recently released a book called More Than My Past. And I also own a digital academy for Christian women on how to overcome your past and be the best woman God's called you to be. And I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a trainer, I'm a facilitator. I do a lot of things, but that's me in summary.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. And next I can see Halon.
My name's Malone. I'm a wife to one, married 10 years this year, mummy to 3 girls and a beautiful foster son. And we also own a therapeutic life coaching company where we do counseling, therapy and life coaching for the young people in various schools and crews in the area. We're enjoying life and living by God's grace, and we're just very thankful. So I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Halon. And I can see Hannah next. So Hannah, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name's Hannah. I work in the legal sector, but I also run a tuition business called Ed Grant Tuition. We're online. We teach kids from reception all the way to GCSE in maths, English, science, and 11 plus. I'm a Christian. What else? Everyone said that they're married at the moment. I'm single. For now.
Thank you so much for sharing. And Talisa.
Hi, so my name is Talisa. I live in London and I work in communications and I have a property business as well. I, like Hannah, am single. And so I think it's good to have a female perspective from a single person as well. So I'm really looking forward to the debate and talking to you guys about the topic.
Great, great. And last, Shola.
Hi everyone, I'm Shola. I am a project manager, but I also have a cake business called Shola's Delights. And I also, do one-on-one consulting or group consulting based on things like life planning and career progression, basically. So that's me in a nutshell.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Like I'm surrounded by wonderful ladies who are all doing wonderful things. So ladies, firstly, icebreaker. So icebreaker that I'm going to start off with is, what do you prefer? If you're on a first date, and for those of you who are married, think about way back then when you were dating season. Do you prefer for you guys to split the bill on your first date, or he pays? Who wants to go first?
I don't mind going first.
Okay, cool.
I'm very, very traditional. He must pay.
Yeah.
I am very, very much throwing myself back to my old days before salvation, my gold digging small days, my small digging. He must pay and I must enjoy.
Cool. I heard that. Hello, what would you do?
See, I didn't mind before Christ. I didn't mind the sharing split bill. But I have 3 girls now, and as far as I'm concerned, I will teach them. If a man wants to take you out after asking permission first, you have to pay. I'm sorry, but if I raise mine right, you should be raised right. So
cool.
He has to pay, unfortunately.
I heard that. And Hannah, what would you do?
I think first date should be very simple, straightforward. So something that he can afford. If he cannot afford a cup of coffee, then it's a red flag. But it doesn't mean my wallet isn't packed either. So, but I think for first date, he should pay.
All right, and Talisa?
So I would say I'd go down a similar route to Hannah. And I would say that, especially considering phase and stage of life, because obviously not 21, not 18, might be a different story. But especially at phase of life, I definitely think it should be the guy's responsibility to pay the first date, purely because I'm not going to be doing anything crazy. It should be very, very simple and straightforward. This is a first date. There's no commitment there. We're not going to Mayfair to spend loads of money. So in that same way, I should think it should be really straightforward, really simple. But yes,
so no Hakkasan's
for a first date, there's plenty of time for that. I don't want to go to Hakkasan with someone I don't know on a first date. No.
Okay. And Shola?
So I agree with the ladies. I think that I have a rule. If you've asked me out of my house, then you have to pay the bill. It's different if it's something like I've suggested or something I might consider. But I also say that if I end up paying for myself or end up paying the bill on the day, that means I'm not interested. So for me, that's kind of like an element of closure in that, for instance, I don't want anyone to have my name in their mouth and be like, oh, I spent this amount of money on her and it never went anywhere. So if I just to try and avoid all of that, if I'm not interested, I will just ensure that I pay for myself or at least pay half the bill or even the whole bill, depending on the cost of it. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right then. So it looks like everyone's agreeing that he must pay. I think that's the vibe I'm getting. All right then.
What do you say?
Oh, we got some more opinion. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm moderating here. I thought I'm moderating. All right, if you want to do that, that's okay. Definitely, he pays. Like that is my my stance. I'm traditional when it comes to that stance, like Vanessa. But I think, like Shola, if I have to end up paying the bill, I don't want my name. I don't want them to start saying Selena or Malade. Cool.
Okay. I think it's some interesting points you brought up. We'll probably get onto that a bit later.
Oh yeah, we'll get onto that for sure. So you know what? I've kept these guys waiting. Let's just get straight into the questions. So my first question is, what would be your ideal date?
I think first date these days should be more casual, only because you get to know that person a bit better.
Okay.
I think when you make it really formal and like a dinner and all that kind of stuff, it just makes things really long and complicated. Whereas if it's just a coffee or like a casual dinner, like maybe like a Nando's or something, it's not. It's like it's a bit more relaxed, so you can, you don't have to feel like you have to put your best foot forward yet. It's just more. Let's get to know each other to see whether or not this is going to go somewhere and go from there.
And they also say that even like as women, when we go on first dates, like we shouldn't put too much effort in terms of like loads of makeup and give like all of our best. We should kind of ease ourselves in so that they're able to kind of see the best versions of ourselves later on, in terms of like appearances and physical looks and stuff like that. I don't know, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand in terms of being a bit more casual, a bit laid back on the first date before you start to upscale a bit. Anyone else wants to add?
So I would agree with what Shola said as well. If you're talking about ideal date, it is obviously contextual. So is this for your partner who you're committed to, or is this the first date? They're very, very different. So similar to what she said in the first date, it is casual because when you're with your partner and it's date night, that's a very different look to I'm just getting to know you and I don't know anything about you yet. So we're just talking to actually see if there's anything, there's any compatibility at all. So I would say that I agree with what she said.
A question of that though, has anyone ever been on like a really like awkward first date, like where it's quite a formal setting, like dinner? Has anyone had that before?
I've had a really nice, expensive first date.
Oh.
Yeah,
but have you had bad ones though?
No, I never have bad ones because I always do. Let's talk for a few days because I need to see if we click, and if there's no clicking, then there is no date because it will be a waste of my time to travel, leave my house to meet someone, and it's awkward. It's a waste of time. So I'd just rather get to know the person for a few days, give it a week, and then at least first step with them, we're going on a date.
Okay. So more like a filter out. So you kind of filter them out first, and then you're able to kind of gauge the kind of guy he is before you go on a date with him. Okay, I hear that.
I don't think that works.
Why don't
I was going to say that. Not always.
Yeah, it don't work. I feel like I've been in that situation before where I've like spoken to a guy for a couple of days to try and vet whether there's any point in meeting up. And I think that's why I prefer a casual meet up first. And then we got on the date and it was like there was nothing to talk about. It's like all elements of personality just disappeared. And it just became like this awkward date. And it's just, at least if it's a casual setting, you can either end it really quickly, you don't have to wait for food to come and all that kind of stuff. Or it kind of helps them relax more and maybe even you relax a little bit more. I don't know.
But then could it be, because I know a lot of guys, they prefer more activities. So they prefer like more let's do activities as opposed to sit down, let's talk kind of date. Do you reckon it could be like the reason why the date was a bit dead?
No,
Or
if you can't hold a conversation, then you can't hold a conversation.
Facts.
yeah.
Then the sign is there. It's a
Especially
signpost.
especially if you're someone who say that they're looking for their best friend, people often say that. And if you can't speak to your best friend, or you don't even have that level of, oh, we can just talk as two human beings, then
Yeah.
where's it
Then
really going?
what's the point?
Well, on a first date, you're not best friends though.
No, but you're getting to be friends.
Yeah, sometimes those are the time for the awkward conversations to get out of the way. You know, he might be starstruck, he's seen you, you're so beautiful. Like, you know, all he's thinking about is this fine woman in front of him. So he's just, you know, a little bit confused.
But then isn't that where a man should have an element of like confidence? I don't
Mm.
know. Maybe this is my own little something, but I just feel like even if that is the case, the fact is we're here now. So, you know, you should have an element of confidence to yourself because you've got this far. I don't
I
know.
understand what you're saying, but I've noticed that culture has changed. In all everyone talking about first dates and everything, I'm now thinking back. My last first date was nearly 12 years ago. And it was horrible. My first date was horrible. This man took me to a Caribbean takeaway that had no table.
But you know, Vanessa, that says a lot, because the whole point is were you friends? You were friends, right?
We were friends, and
That's
I thought
the
it was a
difference.
joke.
You're comfortable.
No, I
As
wasn't
in because you
comfortable.
were friends.
I
Together.
genuinely thought it was a joke. I thought, oh, ha 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 ha, and then he ordered, and I'm like, what? Why are you ordering? Why are we here? And then
Wow.
he sat down on the side. See, when you have the side bit to wait for your food,
No.
and I just it. Now thinking back about the worst date, my worst date was with my husband. I hope he doesn't watch this. I was so vexed. I didn't order anything. I just watched him eat. I was just like,
hold on.
me, fine babe like me, to Caribbean takeaway next to a train station. Nah, sir.
But
it was your
somewhat
husband now.
promising. Yeah.
But we were young though.
But we were
really
young. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that if I was an
Yeah.
older woman, you would not, no chance.
That's
But
the
we were
point.
like,
really
20,
young.
21. So it's like, you're still
I was
still a
20.
student. I can't even judge you. You only got your £8. Let's go and eat.
You say that though, but my husband, when we went on our first date, he pulled out all the stops. The bill was like 100 and something pounds. And he was 21. I was just 20. And I remember being there and I was annoyed that he spent so much money. And at the end of the day, he came to pick me up, all lovely, met my mom with my brother. My brother came and was like, what are you saying? And he shook my brother's hand and he opened the car door. He did all the good stuff because he was raised well, right? Got to the restaurant. I was like, this is a lovely restaurant. We actually went there a couple of years ago for an anniversary. And I said to him at the end of the day, why did you spend so much money? And he went, what do you mean? This is what you have to do. And I said, nah, save that money. Like we could have gone like Burger King or so. I was really just laid back and just, I want to get to know you. We weren't even speaking for about a week. But I met him at an informal setting. We were speaking about a barbecue. And I said to him, please don't do that again. Like, I don't like that. You don't have to do all of that. And do you know what he said to me? When he actually said, you know what, I want you to be my girlfriend. He said to me, I realize you're not high maintenance. I said, what does that mean? And he said, you didn't, expect things of me, which makes you want to do more. But I understand what you're saying. You save the money. So he can go very high end. We've done it before. Very high end, very low end. We're really casual. Today we even went for lunch and it was really nice and chilled. There was no kids there. And it's really interesting because I was annoyed that he spent so much money.
Funny thing is, after I was annoyed, he decided to take me on another date, but go the other end. And then I got angry again. I'm like, why would you take me here?
This is the reason why
you can't win.
Confused.
Yeah, you can't win. What do I want? It's a good question. I think I think my tendencies of not necessarily having an emotional attachment to somebody and them spending on me spilt into a healthy Christian relationship that I was getting into.
Yeah.
And the time he did take me on a date, I was emotionally connected where I'm like, I actually can see myself marrying you now. So I don't want you to spend your money is not my money. This is our money.
That's it.
Then that's when I was just like, yeah, let's not do that again. And then it was just like, where do we go from here? And now we're trying to find a middle ground. So
yeah, that's it, 100%.
That's interesting. I guess because maybe you knew you were going to marry him, so it was more like, okay, let's save our money, let's be careful how we're spending, like there's no need for any of this, we know that we're going to get married in the end, and there's enjoyment for the rest of our lives. Could that have maybe played a factor into that as well?
I think my dating experience was very intentional dating, and before I even decided to agree to date him, I think because we were in the same church, it made it easier to like, let me pray about it. And we were friends for a couple of years prior to that as well. So it's like, let me pray about it. Let me, how do I feel? What's the Holy Spirit telling me? So before I even said yes, I was like, hey, brother, you've already put a ring on it. I just can't say anything yet. Yeah, it changed things because I already kind of knew.
And you know what? That actually leads into my next question. I guess for both, so Halon and Vanessa, what were the type of questions that you were asking your husbands now when you were dating them then? What type of questions were you asking during the dating phase? And then I guess for you guys, when you do go on dates, what are the type of questions that you are asking a guy?
Halon, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I don't mind. I train the young people that I life coach and work with as well. You do the swift background check. What is your family saying? Where do you come from? Because a lot of where they come from speaks about where they're going. And what have you overcome? So what are your hardest challenges? So I go deep real quick because we don't have time to beat around the bush. I would have sussed you out already, to be fair. And the Holy Spirit will reveal all. But I think for myself, it's where are you going? Where have you come from and where are you going? That's really important. Things that you can identify in yourself that you want to improve. What are you looking for in a potential wife? What can we build together? And I think what's really important about being a Christian and meeting someone, the Holy Spirit and the Lord, because my husband said the same thing when he met me, you can see why the Lord will put you together, because when you get married, something is birthed out of that other than children. So what can you bring out of each other? What do your visions align? A lot of self-awareness. Self-awareness, I think, especially in this day and age, is so key. So that's the sort of questions I'll be looking at. Not, what's your favorite color? Yeah, I understand that. But, we'll get to that when we're decorating the house. Let's talk about, because we're Christian, I just think we have to be intentional.
Yeah, got you. Vanessa, before I get to you, I'm just going to jump to Lisa. And I think just from like a dating now sort of perspective, what are the type of questions, if you were to go on a date, that you'll be asking a potential partner?
Even as Halon was speaking, I was just thinking that, because obviously there's ways in which I guess you ask these questions, you find out about someone, and it takes a little bit of time, right? It isn't just like a interview, like I got check question, right? You got to kind of, and I think these things come out naturally as you share things about yourself. They share things about themselves as well, and even just the level to which you feel someone is open is also, I know we're talking about the specific questions, but also just the level to which someone is willing to be open is also quite interesting. And that's not going to be straight away. You wouldn't expect someone to tell you their entire, their deepest, fears and dreams and everything like that immediately on a first date. But as time goes on, the point is, and I mean, maybe there is difference with other women as well, but you want to kind of feel like if this is somebody you're going to be joined to, the whole point is you're going to be joined together, that the person feels comfortable to share things with you, and you can tell that that's the tone that you have, that you trust each other. Like you said about their past, just about who they are. There's the things that aren't always good, if that makes sense. But like I said, it's not straight away. If there's things that have hurt this person as well, they struggle with. I mean, I'm actually going to this is more the negative side. It sounds very negative, but I just say it's really important as well, because we're human beings, and at the end of the day, you're gonna be there to lean on each other, to pray for each other, to support each other. So I feel like that's kind of what I find even more interesting. Just always speaking about, what's the things that you love? Where do you want to go on holiday? Like, what's your favorite color? Stuff like that. So
cool. Thank you for sharing, Shola. Like, if you're dating, what are the questions that you're asking guys right now?
To be honest, it's pretty much the same as what's already been said. I'm kind of like, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? Okay. Like, where do you see yourself? Like, what's your main focus at the moment? Those kind of questions. Sometimes if we do end up getting onto the topic of like maybe past relationships and stuff, one of the key questions I always ask, what could you have done better? Or, what was like your fault in the situation? That kind of thing. Yeah. I want to kind of like see, are you accountable to like, the part that you played in whatever situation might have planned out. And let's say, for instance, if there was something negative that maybe had happened, I'm asking questions like, have you learned from that? Like, are you still the same person basically? Or have you grown and matured from that situation? That kind of thing. I mean, I think that's the only thing that maybe I might push into a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much what's already been said.
Great, thank you. And Vanessa, what were the type of questions that you were asking your husband when you were dating him then?
I sometimes say I did it. I took a big gamble because the man that I'm married to is very different to the man I was with when we were dating. And the woman he dated, I was not a good girl. I was not a great girlfriend because my background was damaged and I wasn't healed. And I went into a relationship broken. So little things like he'll be like, oh, he'll make jokes like I don't eat leftover foods. I'm like, brother, you won't be eating. If you don't want leftover food, you're not going to be eating. And little things like I used to say, like, no one can control me, because that's something my mum instilled in my mind. Don't let no man tell you what to do. Nobody can tell you what to. So a lot of our relationship, there was a lot of conflict that I did not notice as much. But questions like, I saw he had integrity. I was an observer of character. So I knew, based on the woman I am and the calling God has for my life, even from back then, I knew, okay, God's going to use me in a certain way. So I can't be with any nyama nyama guy. Like, it can't just be a guy who sits at the back of church kind of person. It has to be someone who has a heart for the things of God. So that was a fundamental, because your fundamental values matter the most.
Yeah.
Because he likes music. I'm not really that into music. He writes music, like the little, my colors, and none of that matters when your fundamental cause don't align. And like our belief system aligned. And I learned a lot of things in terms of, like, he didn't want, like, we had conversations about even children, and he's like, I don't want my children to disrespect me. And I always wondered, what do you mean by that? And he's like, if you disrespect me, my children will disrespect me. And from my background of, my mom will shout and cuss you down and then 2 minutes later offer you food. Toxic. That was my upbringing. So I don't hold grudges.
Yeah.
While his family is very much like, there was a grudge holding culture where if you do something, I'll remember it. So that was foreign to me, because we can be toxic, we can cuss each other, and then we're cool, no big deal, we move on. But he was just like, no, I don't want to bring that into my family home. And I'm like, okay, I have to now learn how to be a woman of God, and then now learn to hear what he's saying and become the woman. Because sometimes we think, oh, we're ready made. And it's like, no, you have to become compatible. You're not automatically compatible with somebody. So there has to be that room of observing character. So in terms of questions, to be specific, I used to ask, like, what do you want to do for God? And he's like, nah, I don't know. I just want to do something in Zimbabwe. I'm like, brother, you're dealing with a babe like me. You better be doing something. And like, I was just like, I'll pray about it. And God's just like, oh, don't mind him. He's just a bit fearful about what the calling I have on his life. And I'm like, I can see it. But then you don't want to equally depend on potential if it's not God-given potential that he's telling you, kind of thing. Because some people depend on, oh, I can see potential. No, this is the Holy Spirit potential I'm seeing. So like little things like that. And just his integrity and his character and his love for people, based on that's what drew me to him. I think I've gone off in terms of what questions.
No, we're learning.
The conversations we had was like things we want to do for God. Because I do genuinely believe, like, beyond getting married, having sex, having children, there has to be more to your life than that. What are what's your purpose? What's God placed you on this earth to do? And there has to be an element of synergy where you're going together. If he's very much like, I want to build a 10 billion business in Accra, Ghana, and I'm like, no, I'm going to be in the UK and build a small church, there's conflicts there. And there will be friction at some point. Someone will have to give. So it was little conversations that we had, which is like, okay, actually we agree on these things. We agree on these things. We agree on these things. And if I don't agree, you explain it to me. And then okay, I understand. I can come to agree to these things.
Thank you. Wow.
I just want to jump in quickly.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to jump in quickly and reiterate what Vanessa has said. And I think the reason we're talking from a place of I don't know about you, Vanessa. I'm thinking about the reason why I gave that answer is what I should have asked back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Okay.
When you're looking at, when I was looking back then, I didn't ask those questions. It was just, do you love God? I love God too. Wow. The normal generic favorite color. Oh God, she support Man U. I'm Arsenal. But looking back now, which is what I will train my daughters to ask, you need to ask those questions.
Yeah.
And I know it's a lot for a man to take, but if he's a man of integrity and a godly man, and he's someone that's been raised right, he will understand and I'll help them to look at that, because when you're married, and you're dealing with in-laws and you're dealing with family and dynamics, and you have this vision that God has given you as a woman, and then he's like, nah, I want to do this, but it aligns somehow. It's just kind of like, it's a lot of things. And it's like, I'm looking back thinking I should have asked these questions, but I'm glad that I didn't at the same time, because if I had asked, I probably would have run, if I'm being honest with you, because it's like, what? I think also we're looking at a different time, because the men that we married in 2012, 2011, the 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23 years old at the time, the men in their 30s now, they're very different. So I'm really interested to see you ladies, how it is for you guys. Because I actually said to my husband, one, if you try to leave, I'll kill you. It's just very simple like that, you know. It's very free, like, you know, in the nicest way possible. I couldn't date now. All the wives that I know, they were like, listen, guys, we need to stay and work on this marriage, because we couldn't date now. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't really kill him, guys. I'm joking.
No, we hear you.
I couldn't date now. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Cool. No, thank you so much, guys, for sharing that perspective. And it's interesting how back then it was completely different to how it is now. The same guys that you married then, it's not the same men now. And of course, a lot has changed during 10, 11 years. So much has changed. Hannah, was there anything that you wanted to add to this question?
For me, I think I do mine in stages. Like the first stage is I'm just trying to see if we can have a form of friendship, because for me, friendship is important. If I can see that there is something there, then I progress to like a bunch of questions. Most of the guys I've dated, a lot of them do say they get tired of my questions because I ask a lot of questions. It varies from money. The topic of money comes up. I'm asking, how much do you earn? What's your debt like ratio? What's it like?
Some
you know, how
credit scores.
Are you planning to pay off the debt?
I
haven't asked anyone what the credit score is, but that is one of the questions I would definitely ask, because you know, speaking about, you know, how do you budget? You know, when you get married, what do you think? Joint accounts, simple account, you know, account. In terms of your relationship with God, the person says to me, you know, they're Muslim. I mean, I should know that from the beginning. Religion. If they say, like, I've got good guy friends that are Muslims, and they just know straight away, no matter how good looking you are, how much of a great friendship we have, it's just never going to happen. And it's not because they're bad or anything, it's just for the sake of less conflict, because you have two people coming together to make a relationship with different background, different experiences, different childhood traumas, different, you know, good or negative experiences. If we're on the same page religion wise, then that's one less drama down. And then of course, when you're a Christian, you're also thinking about what denomination, you know, whether they believe in this or that. So it tends to be the things that I can't tolerate, the things that I know that would make me walk out of a relationship. I want to just find out early on, so that if I know that all of these things, you know, it's fine, then all the things that I can tolerate, you know, I can figure it out as we go along. But I ask questions from, you know, career to ambition to money to where do you want to live? Are you a person that would travel? You know, would you want to just move to Thailand? Because again, I'm thinking about stability, safety as well. And all this. So how many children do you want? Would you foster? Would you adopt? What's your relationship like with your brother or sister, your mom, your dad? I go deep.
Cool. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And something that you mentioned when it comes to religion and even Christianity and denomination. So that's always sometimes a tricky one, because it's like, you know, how do you find that person that ticks all the tick box in your Christianity? I've come to realize that sometimes not all those tick boxes can be ticked. I think one thing that I stand on, as long as he believes that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, as long as there's that foundation, there's that basic, then all the other things can try and figure that out together or come to some kind of compromise in that sense.
I'll give you an example though. So I had this guy speaking to that basically at one time said he's a Christian, but you know, he referred to like witches and third eye, and I was like, rewind, like screw it, go back.
Not that.
You know, we've got to at least have some understanding where I'm not expecting you to, you know, striving to be a pastor or missionary. I'm not expecting that because I ain't that either.
Yeah.
But there has to be, you know, our basis is we both believe the Bible and nothing else.
Okay.
If
Cool.
you're not adding, you know, salt and pepper from here and there,
Oh,
it's
heresy. Yeah.
less drama for me.
Cool. Thank you all for sharing. Okay. Okay. So you know what, Hannah, you were mentioning about questions that you ask, like when it comes to finances and stuff. So obviously we're in 2022. There's a big movement in women earning more than men nowadays. So would it be an issue if you were earning more than him? And I guess this will be more for the single ladies.
Before, I
Yeah.
used to say it's not a problem and it's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think now I'm going to be 32 soon. Actually, it's different.
Yeah.
And it's different on many different levels. It's different because I've been in relationships where I've earned more than men, and I feel like it sows insecurities in them, and they feel like they have to do better than me. And that in itself can cause a lot of friction within our relationship. And so learning from that, I think it's a no from me.
Okay.
And also because I'm older, it means I am dating older.
Oh.
And so now my perspective has changed in that, okay, I'm going to be 32. If I'm dating you and you're like 37, 38, and you're just getting your life together, we will not work. And I'm not saying that to shade anybody, but I'm saying it from a perspective of I'm looking to settle down. I'm looking to like build. I'm looking to do certain things. I'm at a stage where I'm like, you know, trying to now achieve like some major milestones. Again, not shading anybody in terms of like, you know, what their walking life has been, but I have to kind of ensure that what I'm trying to do, you're also aligned with it. And I think if you're not at least earning the same as me or around the same as me, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I don't think we gel very well in terms of that, because I'm really trying to do things like, for instance, climb the career ladder. And if you're not, you know, have a conversation with you and say, you already know I'm on this level and now I've come and added like another 10, 15K to my salary, that to you might be like, oh, again, because I've dated guys in the past who've earned lower than me, I know money can like sow insecurities. And so at least the same, that's the benchmark, at least the same or around the same. And then go from there. But in saying that, it also depends on what sectors we work in. So I know in my sector, it's the wide range in terms of what you can earn. But if you're in a different sector where certain things are quite capped and maybe the earning potential is not as much, I still I would take that into consideration. So I wouldn't think, oh, you know, like you're not making the same amount. But if you're around the same level in terms of like, you know, where we're at in terms of within the career, then that's fine. But I always say, don't rely on one stream of income. There must be more than one. So even if you're earning like something low in terms of career path wise, okay, what are you doing to make up for it? You know, like again, you can't be 38 and still be on certain. I have this rule, like, to a degree, your salary should never be younger than your age. Like, it sounds bad, but honestly, that's like my mindset, and because that's my own mindset for myself personally. I can't not hold you to the same standard. So
it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I heard like when it comes to divorce rates and stuff, it's usually finances that's high up there in terms of the reasons why individuals get divorced. So it's interesting how you mentioned that you know, one of the things that you'll be looking for in a potential spouse is that he's earning similar amount or more, or when it even comes to career, even in terms of like being on a similar level as well. Does anyone have an opposing view to that? You know, is there anyone in this panel who wouldn't mind if you were earning more than him?
No, I don't have an opposing view, but I do. I'm in agreement that you have to also factor in that as you move into the progression of family life, for example, once you have children, you have to factor in their cost and expense, where women's salary tend to drop for a season. So you need to have a man who can subsidize or cover that season that you're in, because most women don't want to leave their children in daycare at 6 months. And even that, nursery was costing me £75 each per child, £150 just to leave my house to go to work. So
Wow.
there will be a season in your childbearing time
Yeah.
where your salary will not be matching, and you need someone who can at least uphold the family. So that's why I think it's important that he earns a certain amount, or at least has the potential to generate more income in terms of multiple streams of income. You can't be earning your 20K in your 30s. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
I have
You can't and live in London. Come on, come off it.
She actually went there. She actually went there.
I have
No, you can't. No, you can't. I don't even know what job you can get doing at this
Wow.
age.
I think the thing is, because I work in the legal sector, and as a paralegal, I do know that there are other lawyers that I earn more than. You know, there's some lawyers earning on 20, 20, 25, 26.
When they're 30s.
Yeah, they're qualified lawyers. But that's because they're probably working in a smaller law firm or high street law firm. Like, so again, the sector you're working in, like Shola was saying, there's different ranges. And in the legal sector, sometimes to qualify as a lawyer or barrister, it's really, really, really hard. There are people out there 30, 35, 40, and are still looking to qualify. And that's because just getting a training contract or getting a pupillage, it's so hard. So I think from that perspective, I personally don't expect, if I'm with a lawyer, I'm not expecting to be earning like the most amount of money right now, because I understand the struggle of even just getting your foot in the door. But I do expect you to be ambitious. I do expect that you have multiple streams of income. I do expect that you're working hard and you're not just staying, oh, I'm on 25K, that's all I want to be. I think you have to take into consideration just the economics of the sector of the person the sector that they are working in and the industry that they are in. Even this stage, you have people who are in manual labor earning more than professionals. A painter might a lot more money than other professionals. So I think it's just about understanding what you want for starters, where you are at, and if the man that you are with will feel intimidated by the fact that you are earning more than him, I think then there's no point. But if a man is secure in himself, I don't see why he should feel intimidated by his partner earning more than him.
I think a lot of the earning more plays into how women act when they know that they earn more. Because I feel like there's an element of, I have a bit more power because I have more earning. That's when it feeds into, which maybe might take me into my more traditional element, or maybe because I'm out of the game for so long. I know that there are men that are insecure no matter what you do and how you treat them. But there is an element of a power play when you have more money. For me, for example, we had an agreement when we were dating that our money will be joint. And I'm glad we did that, because once I started having children and I was at home, if I was doing like, honey, can I have £5 for pad? That would be a problem. Do you know what I mean? Because he has his money, I have my money, and I'm not earning enough in that season. So I'm glad there's that transparency of our earnings where there's an element of togetherness. But I can see where the power play will come in, where I earn £100,000, you only earn 50. So I'm going to keep my that's when the dynamics become awkward. But it might be different when you're dating. I'm talking about in maybe a secure relationship or marriage.
I think that sometimes comes from a superiority complex. What was it called?
Yes.
Superiority complex.
Where men feel like women feel like they've got more power because they're earning more money. When sometimes you have women who are they're very secure and they trust their husbands, or they trust their partners, or they trust their boyfriends, and they don't feel like that. But because we've got that complex, what that then affects the relationship, and then men or women feel like they've got more power because they have more money, when sometimes the woman is just not feeling that way. And because the man feels that way, it trickles down into the relationship, and then there's conflict. So I don't think it's always the case where a woman is a thing of, I have more money, so I can do whatever I want, or I've got the power. At the end of the day, I think if a man loves a woman, right, whether she's earning 100 grand, she will, I'm hoping, she would respect and trust her husband if she's loved right.
I mean, some women, I have to say, they're not exactly the most respectful in that situation. And I do think that they do have a bit of a attitude. Don't get me wrong, I have dated men who earn less, and they actually can manage their money quite well. So funnily enough, even though they earn less than me, they've got more disposable income than I do. And that's because I've got more expenses than they do. But even with that, I think because of the amount of money that comes in, or maybe because of the kind of lifestyle I already live based on what I'm earning, it can be a bit intimidating for that person when they've never been to like a maybe what they would consider to be a bougie restaurant. But even though to me it's not bougie, that's like the standard. So like things like that, you know, lifestyle differences. But again, I like the fact that you brought up the thing about, you know, a lawyer earning 25k at a certain age. Obviously you take into consideration that person's circumstances, etc. But I would always kind of like, you know, be asking, okay, so this is where you're at now. And that's why I asked that question of where do you see yourself in 5 years time, where do you see yourself in 10 years time, because at least it gives me a bit of foresight as to, okay, what are your plans and do you have ambitions past where you currently are at? Because I mean, if I'm dating older, I expect you to kind of like be ahead of me. I mean, I know men mature a little bit later, but I still have that level of expectation. You've been around longer than I have, so you've had a head start. You know, you should be teaching me a thing or two. You know, that's where I'm at the moment, anyway. To be honest,
that makes sense. Thanks for sharing, like especially about dating older, because I feel like now, I guess the difference between Vanessa and Halon, obviously you and your husband's similar ages, so back then dating your age mates fine, but as you hit your 30s and you know now you're dating older, there's this expectation that I want him to be earning more. I want him to be a provider. I want him to, you know, we're not growing together anymore. I guess the difference maybe with you guys is that you guys were growing together in marriage. So that's the difference. But now those of us who are single and looking, it's changed. And I'm sure maybe if you were on this side, like if you were single, maybe it'll be the same thing as well. Dating older, these are the expectations. Oh, hello, but
The
you know,
reason
hello,
why, okay, so I'm gonna be asking. I'm just gonna be throwing some stuff out there because I think for me, finances for myself. So we've got a business. We've built it from the bottom up. I've seen him go from different jobs to provide for the house. We had children quite early, so we were in a predicament where most women would be like, "Nah, I'm out." Which the reason why I'm thinking a bit like, okay, the most thing that mattered to me in that time, and I had 2 under 2. And I was fresh out of uni, so I was in predicaments where you're thinking money mattered the most, but all that mattered the most was knowing that the journey we were on, the Lord had placed us there. So I'm going to ask you a question. For example, if you meet a man who ticks all the boxes and he says, "I'm going to leave my 9 to 5 and he's earning good money, and it's because the Lord has called him to maybe pastor full time or do something." I'm asking because if money is a thing and the Lord has called him to do something and the Lord is saying to you, you are his wife, are you going to let that stop you if he's going to be, for example, going from 100k to 25k because that's what the church can afford? Is that then going to be an issue when you know he's doing something that the Lord has called you to do, called you to support him in? So I think this is where, and I know it's harder because obviously everyone's older. We're older than what I was, for example. But what's sad is I'm seeing a lot of women miss up on opportunities of good men because of financial factors, where it's a case of doesn't it matter on what the Lord has said for you in your relationship? Is it something that you can bend on? Is it something that you can actually say, do you know what, this is not as important? As long as, for example, if my husband said tomorrow, you know, I'm going to do full-time pastoring, my salary is my salary, for example, he will get something. It's, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the bills are paid, the house is paid, mortgage is paid, everything's paid. What's the issue? Does that make sense? I think, I just wanted to ask, it's interesting to me.
You made a good point. It's a good question, actually.
That's a really good question.
I think you said something really key. The Lord.
I've learned the hard way, innit? I've learned the hard way. I'm speaking to someone. Selena knows who I was. She knows who I was. So for me to ask that, Selena knows I'm not asking that because I've learned the hard way. I've had to humble myself. When the children come as well, and you go from earning a certain amount where I'm having to say to my husband, listen, can you give me £100, please? I need to go. Like, I had to depend. I was humbled. I'm a Caribbean woman. I was humbled differently, where the Lord said, you're going to have to learn to depend on this man, and it's not going to feel nice. Money is not the important thing here. Does he pray for you? Because a man can know the £100 if he's not praying for you and asking the Lord what the Lord wants to tell you. Because I think another thing that I'm seeing is the finances are there, is there, But at the end of the day, if the man has no integrity in the Lord and he's not praying for you, and remember, when you are with the Lord and you're single, the covering is very different. The minute the man is your covering, your dad hands you over, there's a submission and there's a level of respect where the Lord will say to you, listen, that's your husband. So if your husband is moving mad and he's saying something and you're like, Lord, what are you saying? And there's confusion, that's what's actually causing the most issues. It's not just the finances. I know people who have been divorced who got married when I did because there was no clear vision in the Lord, because money will come. I've seen my husband pray and say, Lord, we need this. And money came just like that because we were in alignment with his will. But that's what's going to keep you and your children at the end of the day. What is the Lord saying? I need a man, my husband, he prays about the girls. So we know the gifts that they have individually and how to nurture that, where to sow money, if that makes sense. That's the sort of things that I depend on. So money will come and go. I have a beautiful house. I have car. But I know, for example, with what's happening now with the Ukraine, it can go like that. Like, will the man know to be able to, would he hear from the Lord of where to take you? You know, where is he going? And what if the Lord says, you know, that business that you have, Shola, or, you know, Delish, what that business that you have, you need to build it, which means he has to step down. And I had to live that, because that's all I'm asking. I've seen a lot of women who are missing out on some good men. Good men.
Well, I don't think the issue is just about when women are deciding who they want to settle with or be with. I don't think the crux of it is money or finances, but it tells a lot about a man. Number one, is he ambitious? Where is he going? Where is he coming from? Is he able to manage his money? Has he got debt that he's paying off? So all of these things play a factor and a role into a woman's decision. It's not just the major thing. I don't believe, but for me anyway, I can't speak for women in general, but there are plenty of women where money is not an issue, where, you know, they're not materialistic. It's not about, but it's about, you know, understanding, can I trust this man in the worst case scenario that he will be a hustler? We will get, bills will be paid. You know, he's not going to be lazy to stay at home and do nothing. Because I understand, you know, we say a man who prays and he has integrity, but if all he's doing is praying 24/7 and not working on his CV, then how is that benefit? I understand that, you know, the Lord will provide 100%. But if, you know, there are people, I'm Nigerian, so there are people in Nigeria that, you know, they pray 24/7 and they're still in the same rot that they are in, because that's all they do, you know, let's pray for Nigeria and, you know, the Lord will make Nigeria a better nation, but they're not getting the BBC, they're not getting the car to go and vote. So I think money is it's not just about the financial status of a man. It's just understanding, okay, number one, you know, is he able to provide? Money will come and money will go. But has he got the character of a man who can provide? Or is he just being a lazy bum? So I think that's one of the issues. Also, when you're talking about money, how is he spending his money? Is he just spending it anyhow? He get hagger because he's got money and is flashing. He wants to buy the best car, the best clothes. You know, or is he saving, is he investing, you know, or is he looking into property? How is he looking to create wealth? Not just having money and riches now to live for now, but to be able to create wealth, and so that in case of a dire situation, he and his family are okay. So finances is not, again, there are some women that don't look at finances, but they look at a job title. You know, are you a cleaner, a plumber, or a doctor?
That's a good point.
So it's not necessarily the importance of the money, but more so his capacity to provide, his capacity to look after me as a woman, his capacity to look after his children, you know, his capacity to look after his wider family. You know, there are men out there who move from the Caribbean, who move from Africa to come to the UK for a better life, but they've got 6 siblings back home that they need to care for. So if he's not working hard and he's not striving to get more money so that he can look after his family, then what are you doing with your money? Are you able to look after me? Are you able to provide? So to answer your question, you know, if he says the Lord said that he needs to do this, I think that's a whole different ball game. My trust is not in man. My trust is in God. So if God has said it to you, I'm going to go and pray about it, and the Lord will confirm, and then we're good to go. So it's trusting God first, and then also trusting the man that you've ended up with, because at the end of the day, you should have vetted him to know that he's capable of sticking to his word, of making sure that whatever vision he has, with the guidance of God, it would fulfill that vision and make it reality. So personally, I just know if someone said they want to be a missionary, it's not going to happen for me. I'm not going to or trying to, I like stability. So there's just certain things I would also consider in the dating stage anyway.
Thank you. So I just wanted to hear from Talisa whilst my clock is,
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'll just find
it 9 times.
It's been really interesting, obviously, listening to the different perspectives and just honing back in on the original question, because I think Hannah made a lot of really good points as well. Because if at the end of the day, you're not basing your dating on one thing only. It's on a multitude of things, and those things indicate to you, the person in front of you, many different things. People are layered, right? And one of the things that I did think was interesting that Hannah picked up on is the fact that when it comes to women out earning men, that in itself isn't always just that isn't actually the issue. It can be the dynamic between the two people. So if so it might not be. So yes, there are some women who do kind of use that in a way where that actually factors in their relationship. They talk about it, they make a point out of it, or they can, that can obviously emasculate a man. Yeah, because obviously the whole point is that the general, the whole natural classic role, gender role, right, dictates that a man protects a woman. Just in the most base sense, that's what men do. They protect women, and one of those ways in which they do that is providing for the house. I mean, that's just one of the most basic ways they do that. If that is taken care of, then it kind of renders the man even less, not necessarily needed, but that's the point. Because if this woman saying, "Oh, I'm independent, I don't need you. Any minute you could be gone, and it will make no difference," then the man feels like, what role do I play in that particular part of their relationship? So I feel like that's the reason why, even if a woman doesn't have that attitude, a man can project that onto women. I know we touched on insecurities already, but I've seen it, I've experienced it, and it is a real thing. Like, even if you don't bring up money, like, the person can talk about it more than you do. It's interesting when you're like, I don't even want to talk about that, but that becomes a topic because a man can feel just an undercurrent. And I mean, I just know in general, from what I understand statistically, when it comes to women out earning men, those relationships tend to be the ones where they have the most issues. So say, for instance, if a man was to cheat, that apparently that's one of the factors that make men cheat more, which obviously doesn't mean that you can't date someone that earns less money than you. But it's just interesting because the man tends to wander and look for somebody who needs him more, or maybe someone, because also the whole thing about submission as well, that's the point. Because if it's like, he wants to treat you, say for instance he wants to go and book a surprise holiday or book a surprise for you, and he has to ask you for the money, or you he has more, like you have more money than him. The dynamic can be a bit strange. So I feel like just naturally sometimes it can have an impact. It shouldn't, and as much as we, sometimes it can be idealistic to say yes, it shouldn't ever matter. Money doesn't ever matter. At the end of the day, sometimes it can play a role when it comes to how people treat each other. At the end of the day, no relationship is the same. And yes, everyone is individual. Also consider the fact that people don't earn the same forever. So something can happen. Say for instance, his job is quite physical and for some reason he can't do that any longer, or for a multitude of reasons, people can lose their jobs, or, something can change. And suddenly he was out earning you by far, but now it's the other way around. But I think by that point in time, you're already in a relationship, so you know this person. And like Hannah said, rather than about the money itself, it's an indication of just the person and what their attitude is when it comes to earning, providing, etc.
Thank you. I had a feeling that finances will definitely be a hot topic when it comes to talking about money. And Alon, thank you for stirring the pot and bringing that. Yeah, because it's reality. That is definitely reality, and sometimes it's one that we don't necessarily think about. But then I also get Hannah's point in terms of maybe that would be one of the first questions that you would ask. Do you want to be a missionary? Do you want to go into pastoring? What do you think your calling is? And maybe that might even be part of the question that Shola asked, like, what is your 5 years plan? And he could just say, my 5 years plan is to be a bishop. Definitely one of the questions to ask in the beginning stages of dating. However, the Lord moves in different ways, and that could change your marriage. He could just turn around and just say, babe, I want to be a pastor. I want to be a bishop. I guess relationship is on an individual basis. So it will be something that one would have to work out within the marriage.